To continue the next set of sessions, we're going to have a talk on disruption, and who better to do that than Marianna Tessel. She's the Chief Product Development Officer of Small Business and Self-Employed at Intuit. Intuit, as you know, is a great company that's morphed and changed and pivoted and produced a lot of innovation and disruption. And she's been a change agent at Intuit, and prior to that, she was at many different companies like Docker, VMware, Ariba, General Magic, and she was named multiple times as one of the most powerful women engineers in tech by Business Insider. And watch out for her. She was in the Israeli army before. So don't mess with Marianna. And she's visited 40 Indian cities in 3 months. Wow, I've only gone to about 10. And visited Bangalore, which is now Bengaluru. So please welcome Marianna Tessel.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. How are you today? Okay, well, I'm tempted to start from some military stories or how I traveled in India, but I will do it some other time. I'm leading a team at Intuit called Small Business and Self-Employed, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about disruption. Before we actually start, I want to talk to you about Intuit a bit and tell you a little bit about ourselves and what disruption means to us. So Intuit's mission is to power prosperity around the world. We have a set of financial suites and tools that help people with their, whatever prosperity means to them. Whatever prosperity means to you, we want to partner with you. We are actually a global company, and we are in 21 locations in 9 countries, and one of them is India. In fact, we have our second biggest office here in Bangalore. Our customers are basically consumers, small businesses, self-employed. We have pretty famous products like TurboTax, I guess they're more famous in the US, as well as QuickBooks and a set of other products go with that. Who have ever heard about TurboTax here? Okay, well, a few people. We think of our users as, and our small businesses as entrepreneurs. Of course, they're entrepreneurs of many kinds. To give you a bit of a taste of the kind of people we serve, I'd like to play this short little video.
Sweets have always been a part of our culture. No meal is complete without a sweet. In 2011, I and my wife started Bite Me Cupcakes. And before we knew it, we had 2 stores in Bangalore and 1 in Chennai. I was looking at an online software that keeps my data 100% secure. I did hear about QuickBooks from my friends in the US who were using it, and it became our obvious choice. The first thing we did when we got QuickBooks was integrating our bank accounts. It was important for us to tally our shop sales with the money received, and QuickBooks has made it simple and error-free. When GST was announced, I could create custom GST reports, making it easier for me, and gave my auditor 90% clarity of my finances. I've been using QuickBooks for around 3 years now, and it's been the sweetest topic of our business.
So to start the story of disruption, I actually want to tell you this story that our CEO, Brad Smith, talks about. And it goes like this. He was on a plane, and then he was reading like everybody does on a plane. And then he saw this article that seemed very interesting. And something really caught his attention in this article. It actually had this question: why isn't Intuit dead? His first response was, did the board really forget to tell me something? But then as he read on, he actually realized that this article talks about disruption and how company continues to disrupt themselves. Intuit was interesting in that context, in that it's a company that exists for 35 years and continued to disrupt itself over these years. The writer continued to follow Intuit and actually wrote multiple articles, naming it as the Tom Brady of its industry. By the way, Tom Brady is a football player that was at the top, is at the top of his game in his 40s, which is actually very rare for football players. The writer puts Intuit in the same group with Amazon and Netflix as companies, again, that are very good with disruption. Actually, one story here, if you remember, Netflix, they started as a DVD company where actually send DVDs. And then when they were really kind of at the top of their game, suddenly they switched to streaming. It was, their users were really, really puzzled and actually created backlash and an uproar. But really, they already saw a new trend is coming, and they were ready to disrupt themselves. The idea here is that you always look for changing your game. And then you start disrupting when actually things are looking really good. Our CEO says that you want to repair your roof in the summer, not in the winter when it's raining. And that's the way we think about it, too. If you look at the history of self-disruption, actually we started as a company in the DOS era. So our software started in the DOS era, then we moved to Windows, then we moved to web, and of course now with cloud and mobile. So you can understand that as a company we had to constantly reimagine ourselves. And with that, our employees had to reimagine themselves as well and continue to think about how they become relevant in this industry. So what is our recipe for innovation? We actually have a methodology that we follow in our innovation. We believe that innovation is a way to disrupt, and we actually have a methodology that we follow. The methodology have a lot of elements, and those elements, when you look at them one by one, they're actually, pretty well known, but it's actually how we put them together, it's interesting. We call our methodology, it has two parts, customer-driven innovation, and then design for delight. We name them CDI and D for D, so if you hear me say CDI and D for D, we're very big with acronyms, that's another thing that we're known for, then you'll know what I'm talking about. The first part is really focused on what to solve, and the second part is on how to solve. There's a lot of actually interesting ideas behind this, but unfortunately, I won't be able to cover it all in a few minutes. But I did want to highlight a couple of parts that, in my eyes, are not very intuitive as part of this framework. The first part is this idea of go broad to go narrow. In this part, you go and you ideate and you think about as many ideas as you can. In fact, it's only when you start finishing, like you empty your brain, you can't think of any more ideas, you actually start to go narrow. So you go to the place where you start really putting some wild ideas out there. Then you start going very, very narrow. We call it uncomfortably narrow. It's so narrow that it becomes uncomfortable. Again, it's not exactly a new idea. Steve Jobs talked about it quite a bit as well. He says, it's not about saying yes to everything. The difficult part is really about saying no to all these critical features that seem very important. Here's an example from our world. A few years ago, we released a product called QuickBooks Self-Employed. This product is meant for self-employed, let's say Uber drivers or some other self-employed that actually work this way. We decided to go to this market, and we knew that some of their problems is try to sort expenses from personal and business. So we knew it was a problem. We understood our customers. Then we came up with all these great ideas, and we had like a ton of ideas. But the team really started to go really, really narrow and decided to release a product that all it does is sort expenses between personal and business. That's what they narrowed to. They actually released it to the market, and they were feeling fear. They were almost ashamed to release it. They were not sure how the market is going to respond because it was so narrow. It did one thing. In fact, it was called the Tinder for business, right? You just sorted like this direction or that direction. To their surprise, within a few weeks, they actually started to get momentum. They started getting customers, and they start seeing tweets where people say, "You have changed my life. I now understand where my expenses go." So that was really great beginning. Now it has a lot of other features, and it helps self-employed in many ways. But at the beginning, the team got uncomfortably narrow and really understood their customers and really understood their problem and got that one thing done really, really, really well. Many of our products started this way. We talked about self-employed, but again, our product TurboTax started as, again, a very narrow product, only part of the forms, no interviews, but that's the way we got to market. Let's look at some industry examples. Google and Yahoo. Can you imagine life without search? I can't. But look at the two examples here. Yahoo had search, but it had a lot of other things, a lot going on in the Yahoo page. They tried to do search, they wanted to serve content, they had content curation, they wanted to do other things, they had email, everything kind of very early on. Where Google said, we'll focus on just one thing, that search feature, and we'll just get it really, really, really right. And only when they got it right, they start branching. There's actually a lot of examples like this. Here's other examples of companies that started super, super narrow and are very successful. So we talked about Google, but also Amazon with only books, and look at them now. Facebook, who started from only one university, Harvard, and then they actually started to go to other universities. And only when they had this right, they actually started going to other areas. So this idea of go broad first to generate a lot of ideas, then you go very, very narrow, uncomfortably narrow. And then you grow from there. Let's look at another concept from CDI and D4D, our innovation system. This other concept is, in my eyes, even more extreme and more interesting. It's called the leap of faith assumption, LOFA, we call it. The leap of faith assumption is a really great ingredient for innovation. It basically says, find in your innovation something that must be true for success, but is not yet shown to be true in practice anywhere. It's new to the world. Let's look at an example. Let me start from an Intuit example. So we released just a couple of seasons ago a product called TurboTax Life. In this product, when you actually do your taxes, you have a question, you can get a live agent that you never met before, a live accountant on the line, to basically give you advice regarding your taxes. It was a whole journey to get there. What is surprising in this product, and again, it has many, many LOFAs, many leap of faith assumptions, but this is the first time that we actually understood that the customers, they're not necessarily wanted to either do it themselves, which is what we thought they want to do before. We divided the market into two, people that want to do it themselves, or people that really want others to do it for them. And what we discovered, that there's actually a big market of people that want somebody to do it with them. So they want to do it themselves, but then at some points they want to help. And more than that, they don't need or they don't want a long-term relationship with their accountant. They're comfortable with their long-term relationship with us as a company, with Intuit, and they want to just get help when it's right for them. This was actually a big discovery. Like I said, we really divided the market into two segments before. So what we discovered is that actually taxpayer will welcome an expert from Intuit to help with their tax returns. We have other examples like that. QuickBooks, like at the beginning, we had a very simple version, and we discovered that people actually will be comfortable with accounting in a very simple version. In TurboTax, we actually had it on a mobile device, and we thought, people will never actually file taxes from their mobile devices, right? Who does that? But then we actually discovered that there's a market for that, and this is where we got the LOFA. We wanted, let's test it, and we discovered there's a market. Having a leap of faith assumption followed quickly by experimentation to validate that. Let's look at some industry examples. Airbnb. Will people really rent an airbed at a stranger home? Will you give your home to a stranger for vacation? When you think about it, these are pretty crazy leap of faith assumptions. But we know for sure that there is a market. It's a very successful company. And we know people ride cars with strangers too. We know all sorts of things about things that at the time seemed as like crazy ideas. So again, multiple successful offers. We talked about Airbnb. We also know that, again, when Apple came with iPod, people were saying, well, really people buy songs, like a song at a time, and stream it from their devices? Will that be a thing? When Tesla came with a car, will people really want a luxury sports car, electric vehicle? Like, they really want to see electric vehicle like this? And we know for sure that they are. Sometimes you start innovation by looking at technology disruption. Here are some of the technology disruptions today that we see, that we look for our innovation. So data, of course, is a big deal. AI and ML, conversational UIs, and modern infrastructure and cloud. We look at these technologies. However, when we look at them, we actually think about what is the customer problem that we're solving. We narrow it, and we find our loafers, and we follow our process. So for data, it's really not about having cool data processing and amazing data lakes. It's really about giving financial clarity for our customers. It is not about applying cool AI and ML algorithms. It's really about getting a new level of automation and insight for our customers. CUI is really not about being another Alexa. Is really to give an efficiency for our customers in their financial lives that they don't have before. And when we look at technology in the modern cloud, we think about how do we actually get to the development, speed, and velocity for our engineers to deliver innovation for our customers. So let's look at what we talked about. If you want to disrupt, obviously innovation is a big ingredient of that. What is your innovation playbook? Do you have one? Well, you should consider one. For us, customer-driven innovation and design for delight, CDI and D4D, worked really, really well, and is a process that we repeated over the years to generate more and more innovation. There's a lot of concepts in that, but we covered two today. One of them was go broad to go narrow, where you really put all the ideas on the table until you exhaust them, and then you go uncomfortably narrow. And then leap of faith assumption, something new to the world that you're going to validate with experimentation. And even when you have technology-inspired innovation, you always want to be customer-driven. It's not about having the cool algorithm. It's about how your cool algorithm actually solves a problem for the customer. Thank you all very much.
Question or two for Marianna? So I have one, nothing to do with Intuit. So tell me about your experience with the Israeli army. What did you do there? Yeah,
I actually, can you hear me? Yeah. I actually was a software engineer in the Israeli military. I was a captain, but I programmed, and I always talk about how this was an unbelievable start of the career, because when you're in the military, you actually don't get compensated. It's compulsory. So I worked for free, but what I worked on was very, very important and seemed very critical. So I've learned to be very mission-driven from that, and I always look for that. The other stuff will come.
Any other questions? Yeah, that was great.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Here's a little gift to take back.
Thank you.